we're here. This is definitely the biggest match we've had thus far in terms of star power in Titans League Platinum. There's a lot of questions because people weren't completely sure on the format for this event. So people have been like, where's Viper? Where's TaToH? You know, all the last month or so. But it's first week of Platinum. And these two amazing players are in the same group here. And they're going to start off against each other. Viper's gone for his Portuguese. He loves his Portuguese here on Hideout Game 1. And then we've got the Malay for TaToH, Civ that I think both players are fond of here too. And with me, I have T West, who is going to co-cast, but obviously helped with a lot of the maps as well. So we got like some neat little insights potentially here with all the tweaks we've done on the maps, T West.
Yes, and maybe for Hideout in particular. Doesn't really matter too much on this version since the deer are on the inside.
Yeah.
But there were a couple straggler trees that would spawn directly adjacent to the gate and block the gate. So I removed those so they're no longer blocking the gate. The deer are on the outside.
So if you ever have a straggler tree in front of your gate in a ranked game, you could just think about the attention to detail T West had for this. I don't think I gave you anything for Hideout, right? I was like, we're good on Hideout.
Yeah, I think I used the version that we had for Nations Cup, where it doesn't really happen in 1v1s, but for team games, sometimes like you have the wall, it's a complete square, and you have a little pocket in the middle. Sometimes the extra resources would spawn in that pocket, and I forced them always to the outside.
Well, that's good. Well, it makes it nice for the players. I guess ultimately it's not that big a deal. I think the big thing for Hideout is long-term resource. So, you know, on that note, you are going to have 2 golds as a player. One's going to be within your base, and that's 5 tiles. And then you're going to have a 4-tile gold outside of your walls. And then beyond that, there's 4 more golds, and they're all 3-tile golds, and 2 tend to spawn on each side. So for Viper, he's got the golds over towards the right side. Obviously, protecting that back area is going to be fairly easy for him, but still important to think about. And then same for TaToH. If he protects this choke point between the two of them, then he'll protect all that gold that's there. And then there's always some stone sprinkled too. But this is more about, you know, rarely do we have a Hideout game where we're like, oh, such and such's map is really unfair. Typically, it's about approach. So Malay advancing faster to the next stage could be really nice here for TaToH. But for Viper, the gold units are discounted with the Portuguese, which allows you to make a really diverse army comp, which is, I think, the big thing here about this matchup.
Yeah, and we did see, I think, a couple of games in gold where we had Malay matched up against the Britons, where you might feel like the Britons have an advantage if it goes super late, but the up timings for the Malay and the earlier imp fights and Treb Wars went in their favor.
Yeah, and
you could see something similar in this matchup too, where like Portuguese, usually they're good at that one TC play if they can get the Vittorias out, but the Malay might be fast enough to disrupt that.
Yeah, I mean, we did not see Portuguese played on Hideout a single time in gold. And we have seen a couple Hideout games thus far in Platinum, and no one else picked Portuguese here either. And yes, it's a comfort pick for Viper, but when doing my predictions, we had this fun little fantasy sheet and prediction sheet. I predicted 2-1 TaToH victory here today because I think Viper views this group stage as, especially the first round or two, just time to toy around with things and test things. I don't think he's going to lose any sleep if he, wins the group with 11 wins versus like 13 wins, right? So Viper's going to test. And I think week 1 Viper in the past has been known to go for some experimental picks and some different strategy here. So I find Portuguese odds here. Honestly, I think there were other picks that could have been much better for Viper.
Yeah, Portuguese are kind of a weird civ now that they're good on these closed maps, but you could also sneak them in case you see water maps in the pool. Like maybe we'll see them on a migration at some point. Maybe not in these playoff 3s, but if we get to the playoffs and start having longer series, you might see them used on a wider variety of maps.
Yep, I agree with you there. So both players actually going for feudal age builds. This is a lot more common for the Malay because they advance faster to the next stage, and the idea is to have a really strong economy behind this after rushing or eco upgrades. If TaToH finds Viper's Scout here, this is a dream start for him. He's got the faster Scout. Viper's Scout is slow and doesn't have as much attack. There's no way Viper would save the Scout. And it feels like TaToH's like, please, show me that Scout. Show me that Scout.
He's looking for it.
Yeah, and Viper's going to run. He's like, maybe I'll I don't know if he's intentionally trying to hide here, actually, but he's definitely staying close to the edge of the map just so TaToH doesn't find him.
Yeah, and sometimes you can see feudal aggression on this map, so going for that faster feudal up does put you in a better position to defend in case your opponent wants to go for those men-at-arms.
TaToH sees it. TaToH's looking. TaToH sees it. He probably won't kill the scout because of this, but he will get a scout edge. And I got a question. I don't know what Viper's doing here with this build. Archers? Like delayed archer builds? Is he rushing eco upgrades against the melee? I don't know, man. This is just feels like it's a chill opening for Viper, you know? Like, it doesn't feel like there's an immediate payoff plan. But yeah, he's essentially going for the same build order as his opponent is, but he's added a barracks, and I'm not sure why he has that barracks just now, T-West.
This is stable.
Okay. So maybe scouts for map control from the Viper. That would probably surprise TaToH. I think the feudal age time is also going to come as a surprise to TaToH. There's nothing that you see frequently with the Portuguese that would be at that uptime on hideout.
I don't know that I've seen like this type of scouts opening on hideout either, where you're just kind of like going feudal into scouts. Because you're not going to break in with only scouts. You would need towers or archers with them.
Yeah, it's just the timing on the buildings feels a bit weird. Like, I think for Viper, he's not going to spend anything on the scouts yet, and he's still going to prioritize Castle Age. But TaToH, he will click up faster to the next stage because he was already faster to the feudal age. TaToH finds some hits. Boom. Nice hits. But yeah, I mean, he's already spent less time researching feudal, so TaToH has a villager lead. So Viper's going to be under some level of pressure to do something against TaToH's eco at some stage here.
Yeah, and Viper's still taking more hits on that scout. And it's just such a huge benefit to have the extra HP on the scout and to be able to control what your opponent is able to scout and when they have to run away.
I also think if TaToH finds out at this time of the game that Viper has a stable, that actually ends up being quite good for him. And he would know if Viper sends this other scout. Now, what Viper could do is he could do some blocking shenanigans. And yeah, now TaToH sees it. And now TaToH's like, oh, so he added a barracks. He's added a stable. TaToH was never planning on doing that himself here. So I think he's still a little confused. Like, what is this? I've never seen this before on Hideout with Portuguese. What's he doing here?
Yeah, and I guess Malay, they are a good monk civ, so we have seen monk rushes on Hideout a few times, so scouts can help just deter that for Viper if he wants to like have some defense while he wants to go for the feudal age boom.
Yep.
But still, it just feels kind of weird to go for feudal age if all you're going to do is boom.
Yeah.
It is definitely less effective than going to the castle age, unless he's thinking he wants to go castle straight to imp, but I still don't think he probably has the eco for that.
I mean, ultimately, it was a different build than what we normally see, but he didn't have to use the market that much. He sold a little bit, bought some. He clicks up at a good, reasonable time. He's gonna be later, but that's a given anyways. And then he's got the stable. So I guess this was just the way we got here, a little bit different. But if you think about how things may play out on an arena style map, scouts for map control makes sense. So it's interesting. That's what's fun about Viper is he doesn't always just do the same thing every time. He's got a very creative mind, right? And in a low pressure environment like group stage round 1, he's out here to experiment with some things, you know?
He's not paying attention to his scout, though. He takes 2 pokes from that spear.
Ooh, yeah, could have gone down. Is bringing a villager forward. No loom. So if TaToH surprises Viper with these scouts, which TaToH's making right now, could see the villager go down. But Viper should be able, if he were to look... Oh, God, he's just actually missing the barracks, so he doesn't know. He would have known, I guess, because of the spear. But now, obviously, he sees the scout, knows it's not the weak one from earlier. So, has to hide with that villager along the edge of the map right now.
Yeah, and he's just trying to run the scout in a way that I think he just doesn't want TaToH to see that vill.
Yeah.
And doesn't want TaToH to be suspicious that there's a vill in the area, but he might scout it.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good spot to be if you're that villager, because anywhere else you'd be spotted right now. It's just going to be a scout war, and so far 0 kills between these two amazing players. Scouts and boom. TaToH dropping the second and the third TC. I've loved his play so far. Viper will do the same, but it feels like Viper's playing the same type of game with worse bonuses for it thus far, T-West.
Yeah, I feel like if you get to the Imperial Age and it's a very long and drawn-out fight, then maybe the Portuguese could get an advantage here. Hideout can go to that point where, like, you're starting to run out of wood because all the wood is in the middle and you might, like, tower it and fight over it.
Yeah.
So maybe the Vittoria could, in a really long game, benefit Viper. But I think the timing for the Malay just works out so well in early imp for them on this map that it can be a struggle if Viper is just booming and not booming as effectively as TaToH because he's down 6 vills already.
Yeah. But, I mean, if TaToH has better eco, the idea is to have military control. And thus far, it's actually been Viper. Viper's the only one who's got a kill. Viper close to getting another kill here on this weak scout, and he's healed up all his weak ones. He's got 4 units healing, and he gets another kill there. So I think Viper's thoughts is like, yeah, okay, I can't advance as fast, I can't boom as fast, but I can catch up. As long as I hold the map control and take really valuable engagements. There, Viper loses a light cap, but takes the Spearman with it. So, yeah, this is, again, to restate kind of what I said before, it's not your typical Portuguese game for what other players do with them. But this is Viper still just holding the map control, and he's going to have a solid spot to work with, I think, in late Castle Age, early imp still.
And he's starting to move over to stone right now. And I'm still curious what he's doing with that villager. She's just building more houses along the top of that hill on the side.
Yeah, I think because he's just making a blacksmith, this is Viper being like, oh, crap, I can't make a siege workshop until my blacksmith is up. So I think the villager who was on house hiatus for a bit is just going to probably make some siege here. Which honestly could really work out.
Yeah, it looks like he might have not had the wood for the blacksmith. I think he deleted that mining camp just quickly to get the blacksmith up as he wants that workshop.
Yeah, and maybe we'll just mine a little bit of stone to have some stone for later. Whoa, early atonement from Viper to convert enemy monks. Not something you really expect here if you think your opponent's going to get more scouts up, but he correctly assumes that that is something that TaToH has all but given up on at this point. And TaToH's just walking around with monks and spears. A very immobile force right now for TaToH, just protecting these monks, trying to get his second relic at the moment. But yeah, Viper Siege should do really well against spears. And then you hold all this map control. And like we said, this gold is all right outside of TaToH's wall here. So this is a really important area to lock down.
Yeah, those 2 golds just at the side of his base there. It's a lot of spears for TaToH, though. It's going to be hard to engage. And the Malay will have better monks than... Or, actually, no, it's the Portuguese. Maybe they'll be pretty equal in the long run, but the Portuguese do miss... I think it's Illumination in Imp.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to nod my head on that one as this fight takes place. And TaToH just says, let me save my monks here. Let me save my monks. I'm going to save my monks, back away. He gets Loom because he's terrified of this. But, you know, interesting engagement. It's just Spearmen for TaToH, so they don't really kill monks that effectively. And really not a situation where you want to engage when the monks can heal up like that. There's never really any chance you're going to kill monks, and Viper converts what he can. He's got 1 mangonel already, second one on the way. And this is where that atonement play from Viper comes in so clutch, because he saw the future here, guys. He knew TaToH's going to go Redemption Monks to try and convert my siege. And then I can just convert his monks, on top of having the light cav to kill the monks. And there goes Viper. He's going to kill 1. He's going to kill 2. He's going to kill the 3 monks there, and just classic Viper, T-West. Yes, he's behind economically, but he's got full map control behind this. He'll probably get 3 relics as well as he's getting the relic in the north. Sick.
And this is where Viper really wanted to put on the pressure. He has a lot of gold. He has the option of going for redemption himself and trying to convert that stable and that barracks right at the front of TaToH's base.
I personally would do it. And he's going to do it now. I mean, if you had, like... If the resources weren't floating as much, then maybe you have to consider it more, but it feels like the monks are going to pay off a lot here. And there's the redemption choice from TaToH, hops out of the TC. I think Viper knows now, and Viper actually deletes the mango. But I like the delete there. You already have control. Don't take a risk and give TaToH that conversion.
Right. And there's redemption for Viper too. TaToH has to do atonement himself, but the early atonement just gave Viper this timing window where TaToH wasn't able to fight off the monks.
Yeah.
Now he has all of this map presence in the front of TaToH's base, denying all those farms, slowing down his imp.
TaToH knows now that atonement is in, and he tries to hop out of the TC again, and he hops right back into TC because Viper's trying to convert that. This is so difficult to do offensively if you're Viper, because you could easily run into the TC, but he actually converts the one underneath the TC. At the same time, the pikemen hop out, but it's the same thing. Like, the monks from Viper, there's gonna need to be quite a few hits on them to kill them for TaToH. Really hard to cast this one,
TTL. Doing the job, though.
Yeah, they're kind of doing it. They take out the siege push at the very least, and now TaToH can breathe again.
And Viper had invested into the Ram on this push, too.
Yep.
So that's a pretty big investment from him for a unit that's kind of useless now that all the pikes are out.
Look, like, Viper wanted to hold that position and go for a forward castle. And now I think this castle is going to be more of the middle of the opening type of castle. Nice play from TaToH. Again, the level here, so high between these two. It was cheap for Viper to make those monks, but he still got quite a few monk upgrades. He still lost his light cab, his monk. I mean, it was a costly loss for him as TaToH can breathe again and hopefully invest some of that wood into farms right now. 42 on wood with 2,500 wood in the bank. My goodness.
Yeah, that's one of the tricky things about defending the monk rush, right? It's so micro-intensive to pop your monks in and out of the TCs or to avoid the conversions that you can find yourself floating a bit of wood because you're not able to add the farms fast enough during all those fights.
Yeah, and that castle is just to hold the position. It does feel like an invitation if TaToH sees this castle for TaToH to just try and rush to the Imperial Age, right? Like, you're melee, you advance faster, you may assume Viper's going to click up if you see it. But then again, if you're not that close to Imp in TaToH's position, maybe you're actually worried you could lose the Imp battle. It's kind of tough decision-making time for him.
Yeah, TaToH is selling wood, but the market prices for wood are already pretty bad. It's not like he can just sell and click up right away.
Yep, true. Yep, and so maybe it'll be like more defensive castle than if he thinks that he'll be later. Viper's score is dipped pretty considerably. Viper's not making any army, so TaToH should know that Viper's up. And Viper adding the ranges right now, I'm wondering, does he just go full gunpowder? No, he's going to add archers. So Arbalest makes sense. Again, it's cheaper for gold units to be massed with the Portuguese. Text research a little bit faster, right, T-West? And then you do also have the Feitoria, which I'd be a little bit surprised to see, but you do have that building available for infinite resources of everything.
That you do. I wouldn't be surprised to see one eventually. Sometimes I think it can be nice to add in just one right as you hit Imp. Yeah. It's not that expensive, and I think just the trickle of stone, just having that in your back pocket, even if it's not as efficient as villagers, it's just kind of smooth to have that.
Yeah.
If you're going to be adding more castles or trying to get engaged in a treb war.
I think the only time we'll see it though is if players are below 100 villagers when they get to Imp, and Viper's got a pretty good eco here. I guess you, in theory, could intentionally stop creating villagers around 100 and add one. But there is still it takes time to pay off. And this is a force the issue type of situation where Viper will invest all of his res towards this push. So double castle for Viper in this choke point. There's still things happening in the opening on the other side. Both players have made outposts in the same positions, which is really funny.
They've just been passing each other.
Yeah. And TaToH actually walled in this villager. I think Viper's going to chop that tree and palisade it to try and kill the Vil. Am I wrong on that? Am I thinking too much of him? No. And will TaToH notice?
TaToH's paying attention. I was going to say, I was hoping TaToH would wait for Viper to chop it and then palisade himself.
Yeah. it's just stupid how they pay attention to one unit over here. And TaToH's going to keep that Vil over there, too. The pikemen are on the way. It's so good from both of them. But we come to expect it with TaToH and Viper, as TaToH's on one castle making his trebs, and Viper's on two castles making trebs right now.
Well, two castles and chemistry. As you said, the Portuguese do research that faster, so he's going to get his bombard cannons out pretty quickly, too.
Yeah, but then bombard cannons can be converted by the monks, so the monks come back into the equation again, which Viper doesn't have any of right now, which I think is notable. TaToH's still got 7. and had Research Redemption earlier.
I think the good thing for Viper, though, is he does have the crossbows to keep monks away from cannons.
Agreed.
And at least for these initial castles, they're close enough where the trebs can hit from the safety of the castle, but still far enough away that the crossbows can keep bombard cannons away.
Yep. Yeah, this is a wild group, right? This is a group that has Viper, TaToH, and Leary in it. And it feels like a top-heavy group, right? Like, those three are clearly going to be 1, 2, and 3, but the stakes at the end for them, if that's going to be the case, first place avoids going to any type of playoff, goes to the round of 12, that is, goes directly to the quarters. And if you're second, you go into against playoff against a third-place player, third against the second. These guys are big talents. They are not going to want to have to play against other big names in the round of 12. So all the wins here, even in the first week, could make the difference between Viper and TaToH. And there's the monks. And we haven't seen bomber cannons converted yet. So good job from Viper to back away. And TaToH's going to lose this castle.
And that castle is what's controlling those 2 gold piles he has on the outside. He still has another one in the back that he hasn't taken yet. And he does have some extra stone he can go to, too, if he's desperate for gold and needs to use the market. But the easiest goals are these 2 here that Viper is now pushing into.
Weird to me that Viper's late on so many crucial upgrades here. Like, he doesn't have Bracer yet. So he's got to fall back and maybe get some of these upgrades. Now, he's seeing skirms, and this is where Portuguese can be deadly. Because a lot of civs, they would go light cav here in combination with archers. I actually think Viper should consider... Well, actually, light cav are perfect if there's monks. But I think you can actually afford to go for Arbalest and Cavalier in this type of situation with this civ.
Yeah, with how cheap they are.
Yep. Yep. And, you know, packs more of a punch in the initial battle, and you maybe don't want this game to go much later against the melee. Still, Viper, a great job to protect his bomber cannons, but I think maybe he needs to back away with his trebs here soon. He is playing with fire.
Needs to worry about maybe the monks closing in to convert the trebs.
Yep. Really weird to me. Again, those upgrades are missing for Viper, but clearly he's noticed. And while he does lose his 2 trebs, he should be able to hold this position. There's no easy way for TaToH to push this because he lacks bomber cannon numbers right now, and he only has that 1 treb on the left side.
And Viper is doing those cav upgrades in response to the skirms. At the same time, TaToH's aware there's going to be a cav switch, and he's just adding in halb.
Viper misclicks there. He clicked his arbs forward there. I think he meant to click his bomber cannons forward at the treb or something. Thankfully for him, though, he does kill the treb, so... Yeah, both players also going to the other side here, T-West. So you got Karambits for TaToH on the outpost, etc. And then Viper's going to go cav the other side. So they're not forgetting about the other side, too, which is important.
Yeah. I've seen Viper do the armor upgrades, but I haven't seen him commit either to Hussar or to Cavalier yet. So it looks like he's just going for light cav.
Just light cav. So yeah, then the thinking is...
We'll check that the Portuguese do have Hussar now.
Wait, they do get Hussar now?
Wait, let me double check that.
Oh, big shot!
Okay, they don't get Hussar.
Okay, yeah, they don't. I was gonna be upset if they received Hussar. Portuguese are really good. But yeah, 3 monks went down there for TaToH with a great attack round from Viper. And it feels like Viper's long term then, if he's not going for Cavalier, he just feels like with these golds in my vision, TaToH will eventually just run out of it before me.
Oh, all 4 cannons.
And TaToH kills 4 cannons from the Viper. Oh my god, talk about redemption there. Not with the monks, but with the cannons. That was crazy. Feels like that's like the second or third instance.
Shot.
That's the second or third instance, though, where Viper's micro's been a little bit questionable here in the start of the series. The arbs ran towards skirms, and then those cannons, he saw the shots a long way in, but he just left himself exposed there. Okay, there go the cav.
TaToH getting his upgrades too. He's up to siege engineers on the cannons, has the halbs in, has most of his blacksmith upgrades done.
I want to see TaToH. Yes, TaToH's onager cutting right now. Now, this could be awkward because he could cut it open and then Viper can send cav right through the opening, but I think you could just stone gate it. And I don't know if Viper's expecting this fully. Viper's got outpost for vision there. And Viper's also trying to push on the other side. So we've got little raids from Viper's Lightcap. We've got the cut from TaToH. And then we've got Viper's main push. Lots to break down. And still could swing either way as both players are around 200 pop T-West.
And TaToH's through, but he doesn't... He has 200 pop, but he doesn't have army in all these places where he can just run through the middle, too.
But Viper thinks he's going to have tons of army. Viper's building a castle with 52 villagers. Holy crap, so Viper's really respecting it.
And TaToH, don't honor near your castle.
This is actually...
I was so worried there. He was cutting the trees just as that foundation appeared.
This is super good for TaToH. He holds on the one side. Onager cuts through the middle. This is all because Viper doesn't have enough teeth to his push on that left-hand side, right? TaToH doesn't have to respect it after he got those amazing snipe on Viper's cannons. Viper's castle, which he panicked up, will probably fall. It's halfway down already. The push could free up TaToH to raid all of Viper's main eco. Viper's actually using ARBs against this bombard cannon at the moment. Is he going to kill that thing? I don't think he will. It was a risky play from Viper there. Wow. Dude, he's
trying to go for the Trebor now.
Yeah, and
in the middle. But...
And Viper's right back on the left. So Viper's like, all right, fine. You're going to take the mid. But what I cannot do is react to you fully in the middle at the same time. And he's got a decent enough push going here against TaToH. It feels like if Viper's push on the left stalls, then he will lose this game because he could lose his middle area.
And he's losing the ARBs on the left. If TaToH's able to take them out, the Halbs could probably keep the cannons and Trebs away.
Yep.
TaToH just needs to find a way to repair that castle. If he keeps that castle up for a while, he'll defend those farms. If it goes down, which it does, now the entire left side of his base is open for raids.
Yeah, but at the same time, castle goes down, but he is killing a lot of valuable gold units from the Viper, while still in a position to push the middle of Viper's base. So, I think the key things to focus on here is that TaToH's invested fully into his trash. He's got Halb available for Cav. He's got Skirms available for the archers. And while he hasn't really relied heavily on gold units himself, TaToH's been able to get a really high army count. He's up to 73 army. And if Viper's middle area is lost, it's going to be really awkward for him because he can't push on the left side as well if he's got Karambits running through the main eco.
And Viper, he's been floating a lot of gold for a long time now. He had around 1,000 gold earlier,
yep.
Now still around 300. And I do wonder if Cavalier might have been the better option for him, as you mentioned earlier, just because he hasn't really been able to spend all that gold. Now he's even just using it to buy stone.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. If Viper comes home with his cannons here, repairing them as he tries to deal with this. But, maybe the not going for Cavalier actually helps Viper here, because had he done that, he would maybe not have enough gold to do anything at this point, or have the siege for all the cannons and the Trebs to defend from the attack that TaToH had in the middle and push back that castle. And now Viper, he could actually just choose the middle to attack because he has the two castles on the left side in defense, if you think about it. The TaToH can't go that direction anymore.
Right, and the top is still a really long way around. Neither player has walled it off, but they both have castles protecting their own ends of it, so you can't really attack that way, at least not quickly.
Yeah, Viper can just use some cannons to defend that left side. He's actually pushing, keeping an eye on that gold, but I think the idea is minimal investment on your own castles and just snipe his siege and then push the middle right now if you're Viper. But I gotta say, this game is
trying to wall up the middle.
This game is delivered for what we wanted from the series, right? It's been clean. Well, it's been messy at times, let's be real, but it's been back and forth, which I think is what we wanted here. And of course, TaToH, as I say it, is like, I am gonna push the left side because I'm not getting hit from anything from you just yet. And then Viper is gonna squeeze through the middle with all the siege at the same exact time.
I like how TaToH has kind of moved a lot of his eco to the back, though. So even if Viper does push through there, he doesn't have too many active farms that he's going to be losing like Viper did earlier.
Yeah, Viper running in with some ranged units. Gets kind of quick walled here. It might not end up being good for Viper to get through there, because now he doesn't have any army to protect his Trebs. But he is backing away with his Trebs as he completes Arquebus, so his Bomber Cannons are affected by Ballistics now. I mean, 200 pop for both. TaToH's got a much bigger army, but his eco is not as strong as Viper's. But there is a question of, do you need to have that much eco to produce trash units with the melee, right? Like, I know their trash units aren't cheaper. I don't mean to imply that, but I feel like you don't need 150 vills when you're making units with melee.
Viper, when he plays late game, he usually likes to play for kind of having a large bank.
Yeah.
And he'll kind of trade evenly for a while with more eco.
Yeah.
And then try to win later on.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's what he's going for here.
Yeah. And he falls back. I mean, Viper's done such a good job with these cannons. He falls back with them. The Castle Fire ends up killing most of the halbs here. And so he'll probably just play defense with his cannons for the time being while also trying to pick away and raid TaToH from that left side. But, you know, it's still not going to be easy for either player to make it happen. It's been a messy game. Their population's still 200. Viper, though, should be able to get the better of the cannon engagements and hold the middle area. Very well played.
He just got a great shot on taking out 2 cannons right there. And TaToH calls it.
At 190 pop, TaToH calls it. Whoa. Crazy population to resign. I mean, crazy resources to resign as well, but possibly shows the amount of faith that he has in Viper to finish off him from this position. I mean, I was just going to say it's going to become awkward for TaToH because the left side's wide open for the potential raids. The middle is probably going to be pushed due to the cannons, and we could go down the list of things that, you know, would be awkward for TaToH here, but still a little wild to me that someone resigns at 188 pop.
Well, it feels like Viper does have the map control with the castles on those hill, and Viper does have 3 relics to 2, and maybe feeling against the Portuguese in the long run that Malay probably don't quite hold up in the extended war the same way the Portuguese do.
And you can't raid with Like-Have yourself because Malay struggle in that regard. There's, I agree with you, a lot of reasons why I think this was problematic. And I can't help but feel like TaToH cutting through the middle and then Viper defending from that is what decided this game. Because it looked to me like TaToH actually had enough to push Viper's castle down. Viper somehow kept that up while simultaneously pushing down 2 castles from TaToH on the left-hand side. So impressive from Viper. Some questioning early on from us on the initial build. Well, you know, weird to see the barracks in the stable at that time. No one else really doing that. But ultimately, Viper knew it'd go late game. He had a lot of faith in the options of the Portuguese in the late game. And Viper wins the first game of his journey in TTL. Remember, he was the winner of the second season of Titans League, so he's going to be trying to defend his crown. But we've got a long way till playoffs. So we just got to take it one game at a time.
That we do.
Lots of options here. I like this map. We've got game number 2. First time we've seen real elite players playing this far in Titans League Season 3. Big for TaToH to be able to get at least one win today against the Viper. It's all about games 1 at the conclusion of the group stage. Viper's probably going to get wins against other people too, don't get me wrong, but TaToH is at least that caliber player where, you know, he has shown that he can get wins against Viper pretty consistently too. I think that there were some mind games going on because I thought it was going to be Bohemians for Viper where we would see a lot of monks. And I think that's the only reason TaToH picked Teutons. He picked it last in his draft. So then Viper was maybe like, oh, I can't go Bohemians and go monks because TaToH counterpicked me with Teutons. And now Viper's ended up with a farming civ in the polls. So you had mentioned polls. Like, why do you think polls are good on this map, T-West?
I've seen a lot of villager fighting on this map. Sometimes you see players, as TaToH's doing, going straight for that lumber camp. And you can see players go forward to try to lame that lumber camp really early. Doesn't look like Viper's going to decide to do that, though. That's where I've seen polls be really useful for going forward to try to steal the elephant, kill the deer, hit the cornered lumber camp early on.
Yeah, Viper should know about this, too. It's just been so long since I've seen... Well, I haven't casted these guys play this map at all because I didn't cast a lot of RMS Cup, which is where we pulled this map from. So I don't know how much they know, how much things have changed. Because at least with polls no longer have the Vil regenerating in Dark Age. So the Vil fighting probably is not going to be as extreme here. But yeah, both players going for the lumber camp. You can then chop through these 50 wood reeds to get to the dock position. So that's the idea.
Yep. The other thing I think of for the poles here is that you're going to have a really strong tower rush if you're mining that stone. And Teutons might be a counter to that.
Yeah.
Just they can put extra Vils in their towers and win the tower fight. So that might be what TaToH's thinking here. It feels like Viper just wanted poles on this map, though, since it was his first pick.
Yeah, it's just weird because most of the games I've seen, we've seen a lot of fishing, sure. But other than that, for getting food, we've seen people going to the market and buying it, like, and sending a lot on gold to buy it. And I felt like Bohemians would work well there because of the gold mining upgrades. But I guess the follow-up then to the buying all the food is usually monks. And Teutons resist conversion. So I can see how Viper didn't want to be put into an uncomfortable position there. And maybe he feels like he could just wall up along the front of his base and have a neat and tidy game with the poles and have lots of farms going down.
Yeah, I mean, they're both farming civs, right? Because Teutons get the discount on their farms, not really the civ for fish booming in the back as much as some other ones like the Japanese or even Burgundians might be.
I do think you still have to fish. I am curious on the investment. And then, of course, there's the fun potential of a dock block. So if players walk a bit along the shoreline, they can block it off with their dock. So that can be a way you fish, but also don't need to protect your fish. But, of course, that comes at a cost because then your fish is inefficient. So I just, without the water aspect and, like, all the little cutting strategy, I'm not sure this map would really be all that good for me. But it's just so cool that is something the players have to think about and weigh the pros and cons of.
Yeah, and the 50 wood for the reeds really makes the map interesting because you're cutting out at like just the point where you need to make a decision about where to place the dock.
Yeah,
and there's room for some Dark Age harassment or some Feudal Age tower rushes to disrupt it still.
But it's also like at this stage, you don't want to spend your wood on a dock. You want to spend your wood on a barracks. So we've seen players in gold go for the dock, and then they have to walk crazy at home. Like right now, TaToH and Viper both headed to stone. Viper, I think, responding more so to seeing TaToH was already on stone. But what does this mean? Does this mean tower defense? It feels very weird right
rush?
Now. Yeah.
Well, this is how TaToH played Chaos Pit when he had been picking it as his home map recently. He would tower rush on it, and there go the Vils forward. So it looks like it's going to be towers.
Yeah, I mean, TaToH seeing the berries is a huge target there. If that mill for the poles is on the front, or the full work, I guess, that means that is where you target. But he wasn't planning originally on having 10 villagers taking berries here. It's just because he knows TaToH's going to come forward. He had scouted the stone, and his Vils will regen come Feudal Age. So this is good defense from Viper and a good plan to just rush this down, stop TaToH from getting any towers going.
Right, and no, that's usually the trick to stopping the Teutons tower rush. You don't want to get in the tower fight. You want to Vil fight it before it goes up. Oh, a nice gate from Viper.
Yeah, I feel like you have to have some real balls to go into Viper's base to Vil War. You know, like the greatest quick waller ever.
Especially against the poles.
Yeah, like the greatest quick waller ever. I'm not sure if you want to be doing this, but it will make it messy. And I think idle TC time is something that viewers are going to have to focus on because there's not a lot of food eco to go around right now. And Viper's even getting wheelbarrow. Do you think he's doing that for the villager speed here?
Absolutely. Makes him run faster. It'll help in the Vil fights. He does not want TaToH building towers on his eco.
Oh, man. And he's going to kill a Vil. And now you're already here. You might as well make a tower if you're Viper, right? If stone and gold is there, you just got to do it. Right? Yep. There we go. And TaToH could fit more inside of his towers because he's Teutons. So TaToH should win the tower war, but it is a tower war at TaToH's base and on TaToH's stone, not on Viper's stone.
And the difficult thing about this tower war is Viper can't just run forward to knock it down because it's so close to the TC.
Yeah. So I think Viper knew that he's going to have to bail on this eventually. You just do not want to get your villagers walled in here, but I'm pretty sure that Viper won't, he won't let that happen. And smart thinking from TaToH here. He knew that Viper's next play would be to go for the tower on the wood, and TaToH just preemptively towered his woodline there so he doesn't lose access to that.
But, just the threat of that tower rush from Viper now has forced up 2 defensive towers from TaToH, only 1 from him. So, cost effectively, that was a good move from Viper. Defended himself and forced some more towers there from TaToH.
Yeah, and I think what's nice for Viper too is being the poles. You have received a little bit of gold from mining that stone, so every little bit helps. Negative for Viper would be that he docked, and he's going to send a fire galley forward, and he's not going to find any kills because TaToH has blocked it. So TaToH's been bringing in some food that way, but eventually the dock will go down, and eventually TaToH's going to need a response there, of course.
And TaToH, he's not done. He wants to go forward again, but Viper has an outpost to spot that. He's outposting the whole map. He's not going to be surprised by a tower rush.
Yeah, but I like this from TaToH because if it's tower v tower, the Teutons should win. So, Viper's going to aim to send Vils in to rush this and change the fight. But TaToH, you got to quick wall this, get your tower down, and then see what happens. Make it messy. You have cheap farms with the Teutons. If Viper's going to place farms for his bonuses, it needs to be around the building you are now towering. So, I get the idea. Some crazy commitment from Viper in defense, though. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he's sending a whole village there to fight this down.
Yeah.
That's risky against the Teuton Tower, though. That's a lot of garrisoned Vils.
Let's see how Viper is with pulling back the weak ones here. So far, so good.
He's got wheelbarrow, remember.
Yeah, and he has wheel. That's a very good point. Viper has not lost a villager yet this game. It's 4 OKD. The scout for Viper's been able to scout the map as well. And yet again, Viper, seemingly predicting this is going to be a tower rush, just swats this away and says, get out of here, TaToH.
And the key is that he committed so hard with all those villagers so that he had his tower up early enough that TaToH couldn't get enough HP on those back walls.
Oh, man. Dude, Viper really feels at home here. Look at this. He actually he was building a tower this whole time on the berries. It was just never spotted. So now he's just going to casually make a house next to the berries.
He's going to take the berries.
It's funny to me that he's making a house next to the berries while taking the berries with a civilization that has a mill that counts as a house as well. Like, I know.
You're right. He should have just built the Folvark as the house.
I know. It just feels so weird, but I mean, listen, I think TaToH knows this game isn't working for him, but the only strat that he could do is tower rush, so he's just going to keep trying. But every time he comes forward, Viper sees him, and Viper happy enough to just chase him away. What a funny game here, T-West. But still, only Viper's got to be careful. He's been running around with his Vils a lot. He hasn't taken much of his berries at all. He doesn't have any fishing ships, and he only has 2 farms. So it's not like we would expect Viper to necessarily be faster to the next stage from the... I mean, then again, TaToH doesn't have any farms either. So
he has 5 fishing ships.
Yeah, that's true.
So he is a much better food eco than Viper even at this point.
Yeah, res collected, TaToH's ahead by 200 res, and it's food. And being ahead with resources collected, I think, is pretty impressive, considering Viper does get 2 resources with 1 action, mining stone. But it's only been 2 villagers, I guess. It's not like he's had that many there. All right. Well, this is different than all the games we've seen in Gold already. Towers and dock blocks. No army. Just towers.
And no army, just towers. And maybe a mistake from TaToH building a tower that isn't defended by anything. Viper is just going to try to rush that down.
Yeah, but I think... Oh, man. Yeah, this is rough, right? Ideally, for him, he's able to come in with his Vils to help and put Viper into some awkward situations here. Idle TC time's impressively low considering how this game has gone, and TaToH actually is able to push this back. Viper would have lost that villager if not for the healing there. And Viper just backs away, and it's time for everyone's favorite building, I feel. Pretty soon, man, if they don't have farms, they need a market. You got to start buying and selling some things.
Now, Viper, look at that gold bank he has. He has about 500. If he did do that market,
yeah,
he's in a position where he could maybe sell some stone and buy his way up.
Yeah,
the problem, though, is he needs not just the market, but also another building to click up. He doesn't even have a blacksmith yet.
Yeah, I think ideally TaToH would have a couple farms, right? In an ideal world, he's doing this, but, occasionally adding a farm or 2, so he had more than just the fish. But it is 8 fishing ships. Viper has 0. So Viper has consistently had fewer eco units working here. And he's got the worst towers. So TaToH could creep here. He's going to shoot Viper's tower down, and he could just continue to move forward with more towers.
And as we get to the Castle Age, maybe one thing to keep in mind, as Viper's been doing so much Vil fighting, is the Teutons get murder holes for free.
Yep.
So if you get to the Castle Age for TaToH, suddenly you could be in a situation where if Viper's fighting a tower, he might end up losing a ton of Vils.
There's the market for Viper. He will undoubtedly buy his way to the next stage, but he's still missing a blacksmith. So that's another building he needs, and he is going to have to contest these tower positions. So it's not...
He recognizes it and adds in the blacksmith.
Yeah, but I love this from TaToH. TaToH's like, go ahead, Vil rush me down. I'm going to get fletching. I'm going to make sure this tower's next to all my other towers. I'm shocked Viper's coming out here. This could be horrible for Viper. He's done a great job saving his Vils time and time again here. He hasn't lost a villager yet, but it's surely at some point he will, right? There's going to be quite a few arrows coming out of these towers.
And there goes a Vil finally. And I'm surprised he's fighting that.
Yeah. Feels very out of place to fight this. But, you know, he backs away, and, you know, Viper could have maybe tried a preemptive tower on the gold. There's a lot of his golden stone that's actually forward. Does always have a golden stone in the back area to fall back to, but Viper on the way to Castle Age. TaToH progressing with the tower rush, still very far away from clicking up.
Yeah, he's just doing his market now. But he still does have 9 fishing ships working, so he has a pretty good food eco.
Yep.
Problem for him is he's going to run out of food pretty soon because he only has 4 fish left.
Yeah, this is going to be
all the salmon out there.
This is going to be interesting. See, Viper is he's going to arrive to Castle Age faster, and he can make 1 or 2 knights, but that's it. So like Viper's got this early Castle Age window, and it's like the tiniest window you would want, and he has to find the right spots with everything here, because his res are really at the limit as he continues to lose grounds, continues to maybe have worries that he doesn't have any fishing ships against 10 fishing ships from TaToH behind this.
Yeah, and Viper has to go to the back now. He's forced off of those forward resources. And you can do the knights, but again, you run into that problem where the Teutons might get up, and then suddenly, if TaToH makes it to the Castle Age, the knights can't take out the towers because of that murder holes.
This is crazy energy from TaToH. TaToH's not going to be able to be this bold in 10 seconds when Viper's in the next stage. So I'm surprised, but at the same time, I'm not, because he's gained so much ground already, and you want to continue to deny res from Viper. I also feel like with Teuton towers, you can't actually be underneath these towers with knights right now, right? Like, there's quite a few arrows.
Right.
So Viper's best position for his knights would probably be going to TaToH's base, which TaToH is walling up right now.
Yeah, he's recognizing he needs to keep the knights out.
Yeah,
he needs to make sure those walls get up in time.
Like, look, Viper tries, and rightly so, initially to kill the Vils, but there's just so many arrows from these freaking towers that Viper has to pull the knight back, and now his next knight's probably going to go forward. Whoa.
And as long as TaToH has enough Vils forward, he has a good 12 to 14 Vils there that he can garrison 2 towers. Yeah. He's safe.
Obviously, in case people haven't realized this, if TaToH didn't have the fish, he's totally dead. Like, he never goes Castle Age. The fish are a very important part of this. He's getting his walls done. He's added spears to defend from the Viper, and now Viper's dropped a castle to put an end to this push. The castle will likely go up. Villagers are exposed, but I think TaToH even realizes he's got to back away for now. But TaToH, you've got to click up, my friend. And a knight has gotten through, forcing more damage control from TaToH. But damage control he does, very impressive. And actually, the knight's kind of trapped, if you think about it.
He trapped the knight in with the spears now.
Yeah.
That was his plan all along.
TaToH's just so close to clicking up. Finally clicks up to Castle Age. 55 eco for him, 43 for the Viper. Not only has Viper not fished, but he's not chopping to the other areas of the map. More quick walls from TaToH. Big quick walls. Knights have looped over here. He also only has enough space for 10 villagers in there, but that seems like enough. Yeah, Viper's not cutting to the outside T-West. Viper's going to be stuck.
Yeah. You know, if TaToH, if he has too many vills to garrison, all they do is they keep the knights out of the murder hole range so the tower can still hit them.
Yeah, yeah. You know what's really weird looking? Look at the mill for TaToH from Viper's perspective, and just look at the vision. It just looks so odd. I know why he has vision there, because of the house and the palisades, but it just feels very abnormal that he'd have vision around someone else's mill like that.
So one thing TaToH has to be careful of now is that he's on his final salmon. That and a couple of shorefish will be all that's left, and he's going to have to now spend a lot of wood on those fish traps.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an awkward transition now to pump out whatever he wants to do in the Castle Age while somehow transitioning to the fish traps. It's a lot of wood he'll be spending there.
TaToH's going to go guard tower here, right? Like, there's no question. I feel like he has to. It would be a very TaToH thing to go for guard tower, too. There's siege that's going to be coming from Viper, which he spots.
And the guard towers tend to be a very hard counter to the mangonels, usually.
Viper just now getting double bid axe here. No wonder he struggled for wood. And anywhere he goes, there's going to be towers. Now Murder Holes is free. And TaToH's going to go for monks as well. What a crazy strategy here from TaToH. And you know what I love about it, T-West? Is it felt like Viper was going to just push back every single attempt over the first 5 minutes of feudal. And TaToH just kept coming. And he trusted his strat. And he found some positions. And clearly the Teuton towers have paid off to get this map control.
Yeah, and it felt like Viper, he had the forward towers and had done wheelbarrow, had the pole vills, was vill fighting for so long, but eventually, like, look at this chain of towers. TaToH just started basically under his TC and just went forward from there.
Viper gonna go light cav because he knows his opponent's gonna go monks. He saw the monasteries. And he's just got to try. He's brought the knights over now to try and get into TaToH's base, but TaToH's got pikes there already. TaToH going to drop a castle on the front, which should go up, and who knows what happens after this, but I'm kind of feeling like Viper knew this would be a fast imp situation, and Viper is banking res, and Viper's even idling. Like, he stopped creating vills right when that foundation was placed. And Viper clicks up, and that gives himself a chance back because TaToH's castle will most certainly get trebbed down now. Whoa.
Yeah, the castle and all those towers. The one thing that's good for TaToH is that towers take a long time to take out with trebs. You got to keep moving them. And since they're only one tile, the trebs can miss.
Look at the res collected now. I think this is where you could just tell the polls have finally paid off. Viper's had a lot on stone and gold, so his gold count's insane. And then he's been farming like crazy behind that TC, whereas before he couldn't really do it. So this is impressive. If I'm in Castle Age when Viper was, I think I got to make tons of knights and I got to push. But Viper had enough of a threat to force TaToH into the pikemen, force TaToH into the monks, and then he just macroed his way to, you know, eventual trebuchets behind this. I do not know what TaToH's answer will be when the first trebuchets start to come out. It'd be really complicated.
Is TaToH's play just to go full knights in the Castle Age? Because Viper's going to have problems with gold soon. He's down to less than 700 gold, and even that stone is about to run out. He'll eventually chop to the outside and get gold there, but that's still going to be a while.
I think full knights would be epic, but it feels very awkward when Viper has the castle, and you never feel as a player that doing that is going to be possible, you know? But you can't go imp, so it has to be army, and yeah, knights is got to be your best army if you're TaToH.
Yeah, imp just takes too long at this point for TaToH. He did do redemption, so that will help stop any bombard cannons from Viper.
Where's TaToH going right now? TaToH's adding a ram. This is such a weird play. He doesn't have enough stone for a castle. You wouldn't want to place a forward castle now that Viper's an imp anyways. Where are you going, TaToH? What's the plan here?
He wants more towers.
Okay.
He sees the farms and just wants to hit Viper's eco as much as he can.
Yep, guard towers coming in. I mean, like you said, this buys him a lot of time. And he does have access to more stone and gold. In the very southern corner where he's cut. And also, Viper got through with knights. We didn't touch on this. Nice defense there from TaToH. But, you know, also on the left side. So there's just, like, a lot of messy things happening, and for Viper, he's just 1 TC. So Viper's fallen off economically because of that. There's a chance here for TaToH to keep it messy, keep Viper's trebuchets at his own base, and then go into something to stop those trebs if they creep forward.
And TaToH is up 81 eco units to 56.
Yep.
So even if he loses that castle, it's still going to be hard for Viper to take those resources because his 2 castles now are back. They're not really covering the stone and the golds.
Yep.
And if TaToH does have a lot of army, he can still protect them.
But when you're like quick walling against knights, you're building towers, you're microing monks, what you're not doing is you're not adding farms. Which means you're not going to have the food eco to build up knight numbers to hit trebs. And Viper's got 2 castles in a pretty nice position. So good luck pushing the other side. His light cap from Viper will go in here. And nice play from TaToH to get a conversion there. But Viper will be very happy with those 2 kills. Still the guard tower standing, though. Oh, man.
Look at those towers from TaToH. And if Viper's going to run those vills, he's not going to get to the outside.
Yeah, like, that's a very good point. And that might be the biggest reason TaToH's doing this. And the ram from TaToH going in for the treb. Viper's got to repair his treb and attack the ram. It usually shouldn't work. And it doesn't work here, but what a funny game. Viper has no gold, no stone right now, T-West. So these trebs are extremely valuable.
All he has are Folvark farms, which, I mean, to be fair, if you have Folvark farms and a market, that might be all the eco you need.
Yeah, and TaToH is buying wood and might even buy food, which could mean that Viper could sell wood and sell food for better prices. But just random monks from TaToH, converts a light cav, more towers from TaToH. He's like, I can build towers faster than you can treb them down. Wow.
Oh, if Viper had a demo right here on those vills.
Oh, that would be sick. Yeah. TaToH just making monks and making pikes, and the tower rush is kind of paid off. I mean, I think it's certainly paid off in idle time for Viper. I don't think it's killed enough, but he doesn't need to necessarily push and kill when he's got such a big economic lead. He just has to hold on for as long as possible.
He needs to hold on until he can finally get to that point where he's pumping military. He's adding the stables right now. He hasn't even had Bodkin on the towers. He's doing that right now.
Yep. And like, Viper has to back away with his units because he has to respect the tower fire. And then TaToH's villagers are going to hop out and try and make another tower. But I guess Viper might actually find the kills this time around. So, listen, I'm just concerned, right? Viper still has decent food eco. He's getting gold from mining the bit of stone he's found between the castles. If Viper makes Light Cav and Olbuk out of his castles, I feel like Olbuk are really good against just Castle Age Knights. And it's gotten scrappy here, man. There's a Light Cav from Viper that's been sitting on the left side, killing villagers for TaToH. He can't pay attention to it.
He hasn't noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, that adds up. TaToH lost most of his vills in the north of Viper's base. He's getting +2 armor for his cav now. This could be dangerous for TaToH.
Only notices the light cav.
Yeah, it's got to be knights. And light cav again for Viper going in for monk kills. Viper will have wanted to have cut to the outside. Will he get the opportunity? We don't know yet, but he's still trying to get a bit of a push. And anytime he kills a monk, he'll be happy, but what's his choice when he sees full knights from TaToH?
I don't know. I feel like he's going to need, at some point, maybe need some pikes just to defend his trebs, just to keep his numbers up. But even that is expensive when you still need to do the blacksmith upgrades too. I
think Olbuk make a lot of sense because they shred armor, right? And Teuton knights and infantry have armor. So if you have a unit that shreds it, and you have the castles already, I think that's the play. TaToH, he does not have a stable eco right now. It's messy.
I feel like Viper might even want to delete that forward stable so TaToH stops charging the conversions on it.
Yeah, maybe. Viper going to drop a castle where he can take gold. Going to drop a castle where he can then protect his trebs and treb down the castle TaToH is placing. Look at TaToH's main farming eco. Look at his starting TC. Look at the idols there. TaToH's pop capped right now, right? Like, this is not an eco that is together. It's because of how scrappy it's been. And Viper just has to stick to the plan of continue to push forward. And there's going to be a lot of reward for getting this castle up and a lot of area for him to treb. Beautiful
TaToH
picks.
gets a lot of knights now, though. Does that castle necessarily protect the Trebs? It feels like Viper doesn't really have too much army to defend them. He has 7 Obuki there, but TaToH's still amassing more knights.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be the Obuk, right? The Obuk have to be the unit Viper gets there. Hard to do when he hasn't had gold. Viper trebbing down another tower from TaToH on the right side. Viper still... Well, he's got gold now. And the Obuk are here to shred the armor, to steal the relics from TaToH too. And, I mean, TaToH's catching up on upgrades, T-West, that Viper already has. How... If you couldn't stabilize your economy before, how are you going to do it now if you're TaToH? Viper's got crazy army count.
Well, TaToH does still have 1,000 gold, and he can just come to the outside if he wants to.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's an important area for TaToH. Like, to just expand to the south, maybe you could just survive that way. I also don't mind the Knight Raid. I don't think that's a bad play because that pulls Viper's Obuk away from the main push, but that does also mean you then need your pikes to defend the other areas. Viper knows what's up. Viper sees the new CC from TaToH here on this left side, and Viper's going to put an end to it. Wow. Dang.
TaToH wanted that just to garrison his vills, but he's not going to get that up in time.
Wow, and now TaToH pop-capped. The Obuk do switch to the right side, so TaToH is to pull away with his knights, and TaToH's probably like, where has this gone wrong? I like had such a good strategy, but this fast imp from Viper has undone me here. It's unraveled me. And there's still 3 castles for Viper. He's still finding some areas to mine stone, so he might get another castle up eventually too, especially if he gets his TC up on the left.
Will he get that TC up, though? I guess he has to quick wall it.
Yeah, he did place the wall, but the villagers got stuck. And wow, that's so good from Viper. That's so good from him to know that he gets that. Oh, yeah, but loses his Trebs at the same time. Whoops.
And I mean, TaToH's still up 118 vills to 75.
Yeah.
As long as he has some farms going on the outside, and remember, he is the Teutons, he can add in those farms for really cheap.
Yep.
And look at what TaToH is doing in that TC in the center of his base. He is up to the Imperial Age.
What? He's actually up? I was just going to say he can't click up. What? Okay, so Viper has 4 castles on one area of the screen, which is pretty rare and ridiculous. He hasn't cut to the outside at all, and it doesn't even feel like he's ever going to at this point. TaToH is going to fall back and not be in the center at all himself, while being fully on the outside, I guess, here. Like, there's plenty of stone and gold out here. This is a ridiculous game.
There's still so much resource on the outside for TaToH to take.
Yeah.
And he's hitting that TC with pikemen. He's going to lose a lot of pikemen there, but Viper's been idled with 11, 12 vills in that TC, not taking any of that gold for a long time.
I do think...
TaToH also needs to delete his farms there.
I get that Viper's, like, fully fixated on the middle, and I think it's working really well. But I think he has to get some villagers to chop wood again to eventually get to the outside. Like, that has to be on his mind, at least. Because there is a world where he will regret not being able to raid TaToH there. Because TaToH is freely expanding out there without a worry in the world.
Yeah, and this is where Teutons get scary, because TaToH's doing chemistry, and if he can get hand cannoneers out, suddenly he's going to have a cheap counter to that Obuk army.
What a sick game. What a sick game. I thought Viper was dead, and he's been back from the dead for some time now. I thought TaToH was then dead, and TaToH is now somehow in the Imperial Age getting chemistry, like you said, and building up towards hand cannons. It could go either way. We know Viper's 50 villagers behind, and it's probably going to stay that way, because he's just on 2 town centers. But, Viper's got 4 castles. And Viper, for the first time, has been able to, like, freely expand and do all these different things because TaToH isn't really harassing him anymore. This is a ridiculous game. Oh, my goodness.
And I feel like TaToH might come to regret losing those relics.
Yeah,
he had such a good gold eco from them. If this is going to last for a lot longer, that could come to haunt him if Viper is able to collect them again.
Oh, yeah. Viper knows he's back there. Viper's like, okay, I'm not seeing a lot in the middle. He must have cut. So forget using lumberjacks to cut the trees. I don't need that. He's going to go onager and then cut his way and raid the backside of TaToH's base. This is brilliant timing because this is just when TaToH's thinking of building up towards a push in the middle to hit Viper's castles. It's going to be really difficult for TaToH to do that when TaToH then needs to worry about getting raided in the south as well.
Okay, this is crazy, but TaToH didn't delete those farms. What if he's paying attention and now sees all those light cav and potentially siege rolling across those farms? And I think he did because he's now reacting with an outpost.
Yeah, I think TaToH should think that it's a possibility. But yeah, he might have actually seen it over the farms. Yeah, but he's not going to see the onager cut. Maybe he hears it. But TaToH's, he's got all his pikes, all his hand cannons together, and he's thinking about pushing Viper.
He's running, though. He's running those vills on the stone. He's aware of it. He probably did hear it.
Yeah. He must have heard it. You can hear it when it's not on your, in your vision, which some pros don't like. It's helped me in a couple sudden death games on Hideout, so I'm not going to complain about it. And TaToH's going to bring the pikeman over. He's getting halved. And honestly, the pike should be able to clear up this raid from Viper. It'll get messy for TaToH, but now TaToH knows it's a possibility. And it shouldn't be that big of a deal now that he's got halved over here.
Yeah, it'll definitely get some Vill kills, but he's at 151 and he's pop capped. He could do with losing some Vills anyway.
Exactly, and now you actually have a path to raid Viper's Golden Stone because Viper has opened this up for you as Viper goes for Elite Oblach. Ridiculous game here, T-West. Still, to me, feels like Viper's, has a little bit of momentum to work with, but maybe poor timing on the words because TaToH's he's cleaned up the raid. He's going to clear up the bombard cannon on the left. And now he hasn't wasted any time with the pushback in the middle.
Yeah, now he's going to get a castle back in his eco to prevent any future raids from doing damage there.
That's sick. Yeah.
And he has the hand cannons out to deal with the Elite Oblach upgrade that Viper is just adding in.
Yeah. And then you're like, yeah, Poles, their winged hussars do have bonus damage against hand cannons. So that's maybe the next bonus you think of. We'll see if Viper, though, is able to get there. And Viper, seemingly distracted, loses another bombard cannon. And, I mean, I think I prefer TaToH's comp. Halb hand cannon seems much better than the Oblach light cav combination.
That's true, but you also have to remember just how cheap this is for the Poles. Viper,
yeah, true.
It's 42 farmers right now, and 33 Vills on wood. He can stand to add some more farmers.
Yep. Viper going in for Trebs. He would love a Treb kill here because he just lost a bomber cannon. He's not going to get one. He loses all of his Oblach. TaToH takes the score lead. TaToH has an 80 population lead. This is the guy who tower rushed the whole middle of the map. Lost all those towers. I mean, he tower rushed the outside of the map. And yeah, now he's going to be back with towers.
Does TaToH have any keeps left? He has two.
Two. Worth it. Worth it. I mean, obviously, you'll probably think about making some more towers. I've got the biggest smile on my face right now. I'm sure Viper's just kind of scratching his head like, what? I know I was behind an eco, but I killed so much. I had so much time. How is TaToH able to have this many resources?
Well, that's the difference in the fast imp, right? Yep. Viper went imp and he wasn't adding an eco. He's been 1 TC until he added that one in the south.
Yep.
And he was able to push TaToH back, but eventually TaToH's just holding on.
Yeah, seriously. There's a really good hold here from TaToH. Two of the best players in the world, two of the best players in the group, two of the best players in, Titans League Season 3. So we knew it was going to be good, but I didn't really think TaToH was going to be able to recover, even though he had the eco lead. It really looked like he was scatterbrained and that Viper's push was coming in hot and heavy, but maybe it just wasn't enough from Viper. Now he has to try and bring this game back, right? He is now in comeback mode yet again.
Right. And if there's a civ where you can do that, it's the Poles, but feels like TaToH is really going to be pushing him quite quickly at this point.
Yep. Some fun bonuses we've talked about in this game, right? Ignoring of the armor, the ignoring of the armor, the tower bonuses, both civs having unique farm bonuses. Viper's winged hussar upgrade in now. TaToH sees it, knows the raids could hurt him, quickly gates it off. Very well played, as he's actually on Cavalier now. And TaToH so close to killing that Treb from Viper. And Viper's not dead yet. He is almost through in the wood line, so he could take Golden Stone on the outside for the first time.
TaToH has one halb out there, just harassing those lumberjacks.
Yep. But yeah, Viper's through.
I feel like the big difference in this game, though, was just those fish early on from TaToH.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have those fish, or if Viper does somehow have fish, then their economies are completely different.
Yeah, but Teutons are going to struggle. They don't get Hussars, so they can't really raid, right? And Viper's military count at least has stabilized. 50 military count. His skirmishers are finding a lot of kills in the hand cannons. That was the biggest problem for Viper. He didn't have an answer to the hand cannons. The skirms also are going to do very nicely against the halb. So skirm's now Viper's best friend. And TaToH wants to have his castles as a big part of this push. Lovely castle spot. I don't think he got crenellations yet, but with the amount of stone and gold control he has, I would actually love to see him buy the stone for crenellations. I think it's worth it here.
Yeah, just when one of the things you don't consider about it, usually you think about the range, but just the ability to put your halbs inside of the castles to do more arrow damage can matter a lot in like these situations where the Obuk and the skirms are standing under the castle.
Look at the raids from Viper on the left. Viper's not done yet. He'll kill most of those villagers. Obviously, there's a few in the tower, but simultaneously, TaToH diving with his cav, desperate to keep this castle up. And he won't take all of Viper's trebs. I think he's able to get 2 of them. And good pullback with his bomber cannons as well. Because ideally for TaToH, the bomber cannons can now go get that final trebuchet from Viper. And TaToH can hold this position.
And keeping it down to 1 treb means you only need 7 vills to repair the castle. If there's 3 there, then it's really hard to keep the castle up.
Yeah. And I think we just saw crenellations complete. Or maybe I think he got ironclad, actually. So his siege has more melee armor, which might make even more sense when there's winged hussars out.
Maybe the Obuk just strip it away.
Oh, true. Wait. Do Obuks strip armor from siege? I guess they would, right?
I guess so.
I've never thought
siege
about
doesn't
that.
usually have that much armor.
Yeah, that's a kind of a funny thing. Either way, I don't think Viper's going to be able to get in close with those Obuk because of this important castle from TaToH. Already has 16 kills with this castle. And yet again, big problem for Viper has been his economy's worse. So he's expanding it to the outside. He's found some gold out there. But it's still just not a ton on gold for him compared to TaToH. Sick game. Just a sick game.
And TaToH's still with the population lead. Viper not quite able to get to 200 pop.
Yeah.
And he's still taking these fights when he's at around 150 pop.
Also, Viper, his units are much cheaper, but some of these engagements have been costly. That said, he'll take out all of TaToH's trebs with these hussars. Actually, he's going to miss the trebs. He's going to go for the cannons. Ironclad. Paying off, I guess, because the Obuks haven't hit them yet. But castle down for TaToH. And Viper, he's still somehow in this freaking game. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is where if you're the Poles, you've gotten to the outside, you finally have safe spots for your farmers.
Yep.
And I think the thing to watch is just Viper's villagers on food count. How many farms does he have, and how many winged hussars can he pump out?
Look at TaToH. He's sent a couple Cavalier into the back. That could catch up with Viper pretty quickly. Oh, and Viper's trebs. I was just thinking Viper could just treb push this entire left-hand area where TaToH has so many units. But Viper, you can't lose those trebs. That's going to waste so much time with this push. Oh, man.
I mean, so much gold at this point, too.
Yep. I mean, he was distracted, I'm sure, with the raids. Even just having to pull back with the trebs, you feel gives TaToH time to stabilize. And TaToH should get all of them, right? They're so slow, these Cavalier.
Viper, he has vills there to repair, but not in time.
Wow. That was ridiculous. So Viper's got 1 castle. He ended up losing the other one. So he's got 1 castle to make Obuk now. And that might be the real deciding factor in the game. Obviously, resources too. But if you can't make Obuk, I guess they produce pretty quickly. But if you can't make a lot of them, then suddenly I think Cavalier for TaToH is going to be looking a lot stronger.
And another thing for Viper, he only has 1 TC so far. And he's sitting at around 100 vills. And not like that's a small number, but usually if you're the Poles, you want 100 farmers, not just 100 vills.
Like it from Viper. He says, all right, whatever. I'm Poles. I'll get more food. I'll just try and kill your gold units with my skirms. Not the prettiest of engagements. but he does push TaToH back. And TaToH drops a castle on the left. And imagine if Viper still had those 3 trebs. And Viper could maybe consider in the near future trebbing that down. That's not a possibility now. A ridiculous game. And like, both players have had never say die moments throughout the entirety of it. And I guess a reminder here for TaToH, he's probably going to be competing with Viper for first place in this group over the next 4 weeks. So losing this game here would haunt him. He has done enough to get the win now. He just has to finish this freaking snake off. You do anything differently?
If there's one civ that's hard to finish off, I think it's the poles.
Yeah, agreed.
I feel like TaToH's done pretty much everything he could have in this matchup, right? Like, this is the civ he picked, thinking I think he wanted the civ to counterpick the poles.
Yeah, I think TaToH's missing an onager cut as the final step to winning this game. Viper onager cut him. TaToH was prepared. Viper is not prepared for Cavalier running into that back corner now. So I think if TaToH could just do that.
He's adding in that castle on the hill in the back. That will protect a Folvark, and he has outposts just ready to scout for anything TaToH might do.
Oh, this is good. I like it. Just send the Cavalier through. Viper had cut through. He never gated it. The castle for Viper, obviously good preemptive thinking. But still, that is going to be really difficult to deal with if TaToH spreads out into a million places. Oh, man. These Winged Hussar, though. Now there's no meat shield for all the gunpowder. Those Winged Hussar can feast. And feast they will. Bombard cannons will go down. Hand cannons will go down as well. The Polish Hussars now have some trample damage too because of Viper's unique tech. Dang, losses on both sides. Ridiculous losses and ridiculous quick walls from Viper to keep some of the villagers alive. And he's brought Obok back home to somehow stop these raids. Ridiculous. He's also raiding the right side T-West, so he killed villagers from TaToH as well.
Yeah, Viper playing his Alcatraz scenario he's on point with those quick walls. And he has a lot of idols, he just needs to fix them.
Yeah, look at the idle time for both. TaToH with 10 hours of total idle time in the game. Viper with 4 hours. TaToH had 5 hours, though, before he was an imp. So a lot of that idle time was in that Castle Age flurry when he was defending against Viper's Imperial Age push.
Look at that idle TC time. Viper has had 1 TC this entire game, pretty much, and he only has 4 minutes compared to TaToH now, kind of boomed.
That's actually a really crazy stat. 4 hours of idle TC at this stage. But, I mean, I would still prefer to have 3 TCs.
Look what TaToH just clicked in that stable. It's Paladin.
Okay.
Paladin
I mean,
with 61 vills on gold.
If he can't win with Paladin with 61 vills on gold, I think we need another nerf to the poles, right? Like, this has been ridiculous. The unit value you just get with the poles is wild. The Hussars, the cost on the Knights we didn't even see in this game, the Obok. But Paladin should end it. But then again, there's 38 Obok somehow. They produce so quickly. It could be an extreme waste of gold if you go for Paladin against Obok.
It could be. Like, the Paladins should just win. They should just 1v1 beat every single Polish unit, no questions asked. It's just how well can Viper keep his eco running?
Yeah, how cost effective will it be?
He's closer to 200 pop.
Yeah, seriously.
He's been around 170 now.
This is a ridiculous game. Like, is it week 1 and we're going to see the best game of TTL 3? I mean, come on. TaToH's going to walk forward with the castle. The pathing's a little awkward here. And he wants to push that castle to Viper. All right, so Viper needs to defend from this. TaToH has 90 army. He's like, thanks for killing my vills. I have more pop space now. Units are all kind of clogged up behind this. So this could be disastrous for TaToH. Yeah, TaToH, I think, has to bail on this castle. This is just not going to work out. That castle's going to have to
get there in time.
He's got to delete it here. The pathing's rough because the hand cannons are in the way. Siege is all out of position. The castle will be denied. TaToH, save some stone here, buddy. Save some stone. Delete it. Where are your cannons going? His cannons have looped around the other way. TaToH is really being stubborn here.
That one tile of pathfinding is really just not being kind to him.
Oh, man. I mean, TaToH's down to 90 vills now, so he's below Viper's vill count. Viper will lose a Treb. TaToH's castle is surely just going to be Treb down. Paladins are coming out for TaToH. But there's Olbuk and there's Skirm here for the Viper.
For TaToH. TaToH still has Paladin. He still has the best unit in this fight.
And
if
then
he keeps that Treb alive, can the Paladin save it?
The Treb's alive!
Did you save it?
It's alive, but Viper's got Skirms.
The Skirms. 1 damage from the Skirms take out the Treb.
But, I mean...
And now TaToH gets the castle.
Yeah, he actually does. I mean, what a crazy play. Paladin has definitely swung it, right? The Olbuk have all but disappeared. Right. And now TaToH can keep his castle up by using his Paladins to take the Treb. Viper won't have another Treb. Viper then can't run into this castle. And Viper's kind of cut off from his starting eco and this left-hand side where, to be completely honest, he doesn't really have that much protection beyond the castles.
Yeah, and he doesn't have any barracks out there, so he can't just add in a Halb to try to deal with the Paladins.
Yep. And he's spreading out too. Paladins in the back. This might finally be it, where Viper chooses to call it.
This is the push.
Yeah. Wow, that ridiculous game though. Seriously, both players were dead so many times. And now TaToH will shift his attention with New Siege, which he can afford because of the gold control, which he's almost out of on the left. But he could push the castle from Viper next to the starting eco, and Viper taps out and calls the GG. What a crazy, tightly contested match that was. And in our series, it ties it up. T-West, just a pleasure, dude. To watch that from the start, from the towers and the monks and the pikes to this. Every inch of this map was covered, it felt like. My goodness.
And it felt like every part of the map was important, too.
Yep.
From the middle to the bottom part to the fish to the outside to all the cutting and the tower rushing and the dock blocking.
Yeah, it's like... I forget the name of the person who made this map. Forgive me. Because this is from a tournament where a lot of different maps are made. But whoever created it envisioned games like this, right? All these fun little aspects being used. And then whoever created the Teutons and the Poles, whoever had a hand in that, there's like 20 years, 20 years of a gap between whoever had a hand in the Teutons and whoever had a hand in the Poles. But they also probably felt like maybe things would play out like this with all the crazy bonuses. I mean, well played to both players. Res collected. TaToH did have more of almost everything in that game, but it was just the Polish farms that had kind of given Viper the faster imp. Gave Viper all those hussars and those skirms that kept him in it. But finally, TaToH was able to break the snake.
Yep, he goes for the Khmer, and he'll be in the yellow to the north against TaToH with Japanese to the south. And as we mentioned before, I think the civs between this and Fractal might be somewhat similar, where some players might want to go for those more hybrid map type civs, like the Japanese, for the fishing on the outside.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm curious how things play here. So it should be a fishing ship versus farm type of game. For the starts, they've got lots of food underneath their TC. That's all fine. But with water being on the outside, you would expect the Japanese to have the flexibility and the reason to go there. Khmer, we saw a game earlier today with it. It just really helps in the messy situations in feudal. When you're done with all the food underneath your TC, you don't have to build a mill or farms in the first place, but then you can just farm anywhere and you don't have to worry about the efficiency. And with the amount of food you'll have underneath your TC on turkeys and the fish, you're going to end up with like 15 bills with no jobs at some point. So it's really helpful to have that bonus.
It does happen.
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess Viper housed, doing loom and throwing the house up right to the top of his TC.
That's weird.
A bit sloppy from him this early on, especially on his home map.
Yeah, that is obviously not something that he would have planned for. I think to give him, to explain the reasoning why the Great Snake made that mistake. Oh, that Great Snake made the mistake. Whoa. Anyways, I think for the reason there is because you do have to walk a little bit further to build your house at the start. And I think he thought, let's be fancy and let's just build the first house with 3 vills because I will get slightly pop capped. So that's my guess, but I think we could just sum it up as a mistake, and he's down a vill right now.
Maybe he should have just picked Spanish to build the house faster.
Yeah, man, pick Spanish. I mean, hey, Spanish was picked in the past on El Dorado. I remember Vivi picking it all the time. So
you can definitely see it working with castle drops and conquistadors for the middle.
Yep, and castle in the middle is definitely something players will think about, just to control that gold and stone area. There's 2 tiles of stone and gold at each player's base, so there's just not a lot to go around there. But I said prior to the Yo Licks game that, in my opinion, a lot of the gold games in El Dorado were players not playing this map to its full potential. And if it was a home map pick, the player who picked it as the home map had practiced it. The other players, they didn't seem like they really did themselves. So it was cool to see, at least with Yo vs. Licks, that you could tell both players understood the map a lot more. And there's no way that TaToH is not going to know the flow of this map. So I think castle in the middle, it's not that straightforward. I think you have to have a lot of army control and get a lot of wins for yourself before that.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you do have perfect vision of the middle with those map revealers. So if your opponent goes for a castle, you at least know they're doing it.
Yeah.
So you can prepare for it or plan around it.
Yeah, I think it's just such a risky balance, right? You're going to get to a point where you think, okay, let's rush Castle Age, drop a castle. But if you rush Castle Age too quickly and you lose map control, then maybe your fishing ships start to go down. Maybe you lose a couple of vills. Maybe you get the castle up in the middle, but then you have no army at home and a couple crossbows and knights get there. So it's much easier said than done, like anything in this game, obviously, to play this map. But it is not the type of map I would have ever expected as a home map pick for Viper, because there is more risk involved, and Viper and any player who is quite good towards the later stages of the game tend to be very risk averse in most cases.
Especially against TaToH, where he feels like he's the type of player who should be able to excel on this map.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, so this is probably as much a home map pick for TaToH as it is for the Viper, but Viper's the reason that El Dorado was in my head for maps, because he has won many a game with full light cav and full skirm on El Dorado when the opponent has gold in the middle. And I remember it, one game in particular, he was Chinese. He had all 5 relics on the map for Golden Come. That was it. And he was up against Elite Eagle Warrior. So he's in castle, just making light cav against Elite Eagles. And eventually the guy in the middle just didn't have enough. Enough gold and enough eco otherwise to be able to compete. It was really sick.
Yeah, and we have had a few different versions of this map over the years. This is one with, of course, water on the outside and the shallows under the TC. Yeah. So there have been different beach terrains under the TC and different outsides. I think there was one version with wood on the outside too. Yeah. So I'm sure that these players have played several different versions of this map over the years, and they should be very familiar with not just this map, but maybe different types of meta on El Dorado.
All right, TaToH is going to be searching for why Viper's on gold here. He sees the gold, might not have been expecting that, and now he's looking at the front to see what military building Viper's going to build. And I think Viper's actually delaying it. Well, he's delaying it because he's actually in the Dark Age. And, yeah, TaToH's going to try and steal all the turkeys. And this is annoying for the Viper to deal with. So, steals some turkeys. Some of the turkeys died to the town center fire. Annoying stuff for Viper. But Viper's going for archers, and then I think also a second dock on the right side to us. Yes, there it is. So more of a water-based approach for Viper, and not a scout opening with the Khmer.
Interesting. And we are seeing the effect of those shallows, where you don't have all the vills under your TC right away because you don't have that area to add in farms, and even this early, TaToH taking advantage of it.
Yeah. I saw a player lose 7 turkeys and still win the game, though, because they had fish and they had good middle control. So Viper will have the fish. He's got 4 fishing ships, as does TaToH. But Viper currently with a bigger investment onto water, whereas TaToH is being more defensive and just kind of waiting at home because he seems to know that Viper is going to be sending some pressure in.
Yeah, and importantly, TaToH will scout one of the docks, but he hasn't seen the second dock yet.
True.
I don't know if he'll run over there. But he might not know just how heavily Viper's investing on the water. I
like the approach, though. I mentioned earlier in the day, I think the player who wants more land control can simply just go 2 to 3 fires from their one dock, and then right around the time the ships arrive from the enemy, just add a demo. And in this choke point, it's really hard for the aggressor, this case Viper, to find the damage. But that is assuming everything goes perfectly for TaToH. Numbers do matter. So Viper's currently building up towards that.
And you don't really have too many fish near your starting dock on this map either. If you do want to keep fishing, it does help if you keep just inching along the edge, adding in more docks, heading towards those corners.
Look at Viper hiding the stable, too, building this in the back. They actually built a lot of stuff back there, which for me, I'd want to farm back there later. That seems like a safer position. The TaToH.
Yeah, that is a good point.
With scouts and archers. And like we said, even though Viper's produced out of 2 docks, and Viper currently has more ships, TaToH has more numbers because he didn't have to travel across the map. So that was well played.
That distance matters.
Yep.
And TaToH doing armor on the scouts too. So I wonder if he's going to try to do some type of push. It's you can't wall all the way to the TC, so scouts do have some room to run in.
That's so good from TaToH. He tosses the spear back there to scout, and he sees the stable. So now he knows this will be archers and scouts from the Viper. And it's the natural conclusion you should come to anyways when you're opening skirms. That Viper would go for the scouts, but you still got to confirm things like that, and that is just so high level. And now he can move forward knowing what Viper's thinking of doing here.
And he's going to try to attack that house. And he doesn't have forging yet, but he did do the armor. And Japanese do have the option of going for bloodlines now. That was a tech added to them, I guess, a while ago, even though they didn't have it in AOC.
Viper,
he will have the larger army.
Yeah, Viper waiting to the last second to drop this house. And TaToH's still wondering where are your scouts, but TaToH's walled, so he shouldn't have to worry that much. TaToH's just got what looks to be the stronger army right now, but Viper's still able to hold it off barely. Viper is going to lose the ship on the right side, so that's nice work from TaToH. Both players have actually added more fishing ships, so that becomes more important. But good demo from Viper, and again, an example of how you can just defend. I think we'll see a lot of it. I think, honestly, players will make Navy, but a lot of players are just going to make the defensive Navy and patrol in the choke points. Because now TaToH has to make more because he knows Viper's got a big ship lead. Got crazy armies.
I wonder how often we'll see that lick strategy of the forward dock. That felt like if you really want to cut down the rush distance and kill fish, it might be an option.
Yep. Yeah, I could see that too. Viper runs...
TaToH running the skirms without patrolling them into the scouts.
Yep, it's a fair point. Viper does lose some HP, though. It'll be full scout upgrades for TaToH. And Viper's still missing armor on his scouts. And TaToH actually... He does currently have one more scout than Viper, but Viper going double stable. And this is the moment in the game where Khmer feel amazing. Not before, but now. Because now you just farm freely. So I think for TaToH, it's going to be much harder for him. He is placing farms around the mill, and he has cheap mills. But just thought I'd point that out here is Viper's army. Just waiting for TaToH here. And both players are going to take the fight. And thus far, it looks better for Viper, I think, because his scouts actually engaged. Some of TaToH's units did not, but it is dead even. I don't know what that Vil's doing out there. TaToH won the fight.
TaToH's winning this.
Yeah, TaToH destroyed the fight. Anything I said, forget about it. The skirms, I guess, made a slight difference there.
He was able to focus the skirms entirely on the archers. Usually when you get a lot of numbers, archers plus scouts is the stronger combination because the archers can kill the scouts, but TaToH didn't have to fight the scouts with the skirms there.
Look at the HP, though, right? Like the scouts, having scout archers is better because the skirms for TaToH didn't do enough damage against Viper scouts in theory, but Viper didn't have armor, and TaToH's scout micro actually ended up being superior there. Viper knows these are weak scouts. He's doing what he can to try and recover here. If he could just kill these freaking scouts, then maybe, his new scouts could be enough. But TaToH just barely getting enough damage done here. And, this could be enough of a snowball to win the game.
It could be. And the forging on those scouts matters in those fights against the Vils because the Vils don't have as much time to kill the scouts, even if they're low HP.
Good Viper. More stables now. Use the market to buy some food. I love how TaToH's continued to produce scouts behind this. Also using this time, like the true pro he is, to add to farms as well. Don't just be fixated on the fights when you've taken good fights against Viper. Your eco has to be right as well. It feels like Viper could stabilize this with scout numbers soon, but he has to respect the pressure on the front. And then he's got to deal with the pressure on that wood line. But for now, he just kind of avoids dealing with the wood line and tries to deal with the front, where TaToH's brought forward tons of spearmen now. with the Japanese and archers.
Viper's fighting with Vils. Those Vils had just finished mining the gold. He had, as you said, sometimes on this map you have a bunch of Vils standing idle.
Yep.
Viper had 9 Vils idle on that gold mine, and they've just come to the front to fight and farm now.
Yeah, I mean, full scouts, I think, still can work here for Viper. It looks rough, obviously. He has idle time, but he's got the Khmer farms. For TaToH, he needs more spearmen on the front, and I mean, I'm surprised Viper's not even considering a tower. I guess, like, even tower the middle-ish area, because you're going to want gold there anyways. TaToH stopped scout production. He's going mainly archer and mainly spearman in combination with his own scouts, and he's grouped that other group over here. I like this. Just get all your army in the front spot here.
And Viper just has to be so careful building those farms right where TaToH can retreat to the hill now.
Yeah. It's crazy how close this game has actually been in terms of army count. That one fight, a couple upgrades in it. The whole series has been ridiculous. But that is not a fight that Viper's going to like when he leaves it.
No,
the archer count is too high for TaToH, and the GG's called. And even though Viper created 26 scouts this game, and TaToH only 15, it was the other units, it was the ranged units from TaToH and the spearmen that made the difference. And TaToH wins the series 2-1 here against the Viper to start off TTL Season 3, and that's after losing the first game as well. Very big comeback here from TaToH.
Yeah, good for him, and whoever is in this set also has to worry about Leary. So this is a good matchup, but there's still going to be 2 big matchups when each of these players go off against Leary.
Yeah, and I think, like, the big 3 will all hope just not to get swept, right? And I think the big 3 probably will have a lot of 2-1 situations because all the players are so good. I'm honestly not sure the result came down to preparation today, but many had thought that maybe if there was anything to make the difference between TaToH and the Viper, that it would be this is week 1 versus, like, week 3 or 4, as Viper tends to have in a big group stage where he's probably going to make playoffs a slightly slower start. But T-West, I want to look like at that fight again where both players chose to take it. Remember, Viper's right next to his own base. So Viper choosing to take that is because he thinks he can win the fight. And it was 16 units for Viper. It was actually...
Let me go back to that.
Yeah, it make it easier. It's 1729. But it was 16 units for both. Viper had 8 scouts. TaToH had 7. TaToH had 4 archers. Viper had 8. Like, to me, unit-wise, Viper's army's actually superior here. But he didn't have the armor, which could have played a role. But I even need to, like, slow-mo this fight.
Let me get back to it.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, it was just weird. TaToH's scouts didn't engage right away either. It was such a close fight.
And those upgrades matter a lot. And it felt like even the fight was near Viper's base, so his reinforcements should get there sooner. Yeah.
I'm really curious how that fight goes with armor, because TaToH leaves the fight with... Okay, so TaToH leaves the fight with 1 scout on 7 HP, 4 HP, 13 HP, and 10 HP. So I feel as though, maybe 1 more scout for Viper, slightly different engagement, armor, and that fight could easily swing back the other way. That was definitely the fight that decided the game. So I don't know. I'm not really, mathematician like you are, T-West, but maybe something for one of your breakdowns at some point. Just to know if, like, armor...
Yeah, TaToH.
You have to look at every unit there from Viper, every scout that was there that took damage.
Yeah.
And factor in...
Before that fight, at around, like, 1630, there was that slight engagement where Viper and TaToH were fighting each other. And so Viper's scouts were low on HP before the fight begins. I think that's the difference there. Maybe, all of Viper's scouts are at, like, half HP, and TaToH is not just with the upgrades, but are on full HP.
Yeah. But, I mean, sick job from TaToH to immediately know I've got to mix in tons of spears now and kind of stop the scout production, because the additional spears is what became a problem. He knew Viper would go all-in scouts. Just a really good game. Like, the resources collected, TaToH actually collected 12 more resources Wait, no, I can't do math. I'm sorry. No. Okay, I'm wrong on that, but still, it was really close. TaToH wins the series, and a good one there, T West. Thanks for casting the series with me, man.
Yeah, it was fun, and it was great to see Fractal. That was I love seeing those custom maps play out with like everything on the map working in one game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good one. It was almost 2 hours for a play all three. I think that says how good those games were. So hopefully we have some games to match it. I'll stay in touch. We'll cast some more of TTL for sure, man. I'll get you the schedule over to you at some point. Sound good?
Awesome. Well, I'll talk to you later.
All right. See you, man.